Tonight, we're fact-checking Sheriff John Garcia after Two on Your Sides obtained some evidence that contradicts recent comments made by the sheriff on the DJ Granville controversy. The sheriff told Two on Your Side that he was in the dark about allegations that his embattled narcotics chief received special treatment when he damaged 8 vehicles last April. He doubled down on those comments to the Buffalo News, saying in a recent interview, quote, "Nobody made any allegations to the Erie County Sheriff's Office." But Mary Wyant, one of 7 people whose cars were damaged by Granville that night, says she did make allegations about Granville's conduct in a form on the sheriff's website last May.
I filed a complaint against the driver as, a sheriff. Someone did call me back, saying, we want to address your concerns. My concerns were, he was ticketed at the time of the event, driving the wrong way down a one-way. And for me, it seemed maybe that was not the only thing happening.
To bolster her claim, Wyant did keep a copy of this email, dated May 1st, which means another chief at the sheriff's office was told about the allegations soon after the crashes. Now, that's just one piece of evidence we found that seems to contradict some of the comments that the sheriff has made. To see that additional evidence, you can go on our website, WGRZ.com. On your side, Charlie Spett, Channel 2 News.
When they struck over dangerous working conditions, a judge quickly ruled they did so in violation of the state's Taylor law, which prohibits corrections officers from going on strike and finding what they were doing was illegal. When an agreement to end the strike after 3 weeks was reached, most who walked out under the threat of termination returned to work. But then the governor not only ordered those who didn't come back to be fired, she signed an executive order to ban them from ever working for any other state agency.
There are consequences when people break the law. And that means you're not working in our state workforce ever.
But her executive order also sought to strip these former state corrections officers from their status as peace officers, thus preventing them from resuming their careers at a local jail, such as here at the Erie County Holding Center.
And her effort to further bar them from civil service jobs with any local government or even school districts prompted lawsuits and calls that she'd gone too far.
Imagine if a hospital had dangerous working conditions and nurses decided they couldn't work there anymore. And the CEO of the hospital said, not only am I going to never allow you to work in our organization, but I'm going to try to have your license taken away so you can never practice nursing anywhere ever again. Imagine what the Department of Labor and the Democrats, including the governor, would do. They would lose their minds.
Executive orders from the governor do have to be renewed every 30 days.
And when we contacted the governor's office, her staff reminded us she indicated last week she would not renew this one, while providing documents that indicate that over the weekend, the governor conceded that under the law, she could not keep any peace officer whose status was suspended from going for recertification and being hired by a municipality if they completed that process within a year of them being hired for their new job.
So I hope she is backing off of this, because this is misplaced anger at the very least.
On your side in downtown Buffalo, Dave McKinley, Channel 2 News.
Chiclana is charged with killing Jordan Coletto and Mickey Harmon, an Allentown couple who was well liked and loved throughout the city of Buffalo. Today we learned the couple died in the basement of their home on St. Louis Place in Buffalo by blunt force, according to Erie County District Attorney Michael Kane. He says that evidence will show that Chiclana broke into their home through a basement window and committed these murders. Chiclana pleaded not guilty to the charges against him in Erie County Court this morning, and we learned that his public defenders may be considering a psychiatric defense. Kane says his office is ready for trial and wants to move this case along, as they hope to bring some closure to folks mourning Harmon and Coletto's deaths. They're scheduled to return to court on April 21st to tackle a few things.
At that time, we expect to hear whether the defense is pursuing a psychiatric defense, and if so, we will deal with that issue. But in addition to that, we're going to ask the judge for a scheduling order for motions and hearings and a trial. There's a lot of evidence that is going to be introduced at trial. A lot of it is, forensic evidence. There's video evidence.
Now, Kane adding that a neighbor and a friend of the couple initially called Buffalo police after seeing a man with a knife inside their home on St. Louis Place, but also that he wants to be careful about sharing too much information about what they allege happened before trial, saying that Chiclana is innocent until proven guilty. The 34-year-old was remanded without bail. On your side in the studio, Rob Hackford, Channel 2 News.
I'm here here on Elmwood Avenue, and as you can see, Volker's Lanes is in the process of being demolished. It looks like they're done for the day, but in the last 2 hours, we've seen drivers pull over to watch this demolition and take pictures of this building that has been here for more than 150 years. It was built as a hotel in the 1850s and converted into Volker's bowling alley in the 1940s. It was closed during the pandemic and never reopened. Then 2 years ago, a housing court judge ordered the building to be demolished as the structure was deemed a threat to public safety. According to Buffalo Common Councilman Joe Golombek, who represents this district, the plan is to build an apartment building. Golombek says more housing is needed in the Black Rock neighborhood. Golombek says he and others in his district have been waiting for this day for several years now.
I'm on that street almost every single day passing it, and there's broken windows. There were boards that were being ripped off. A bunch of the neighbors have me on speed dial and would call me, send me text messages on a regular basis, and it got to the point where it was a safety issue and something had to happen there.
Golombek says there are still discussions going on between the city, the community, and the developers as far as the size of the apartment building. Now, Golombek says they were interested in preserving the tavern part of this structure. However, engineers deemed it as unsafe.
Since 1927, the Delaware YMCA has served the Buffalo community, offering everything from swim lessons to youth sports. But on April 6th, it will close for good.
And it's like, to have it gone, what are we gonna do?
YMCA Buffalo Niagara says financial losses and costly maintenance made it impossible to keep the doors open.
The email I got said ceasing operations. I had just left here. I just came out of my water ball class. And when I saw that, it was like a gut punch. I felt shock. I didn't know what to say, but I felt my whole life plummet.
For Evelyn Wackett, this place was more than a gym. She's been coming here since 2012 for a class called Water Ball, a program unique to this location. It helped her through some of the hardest moments of her life.
But coming here on those days, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for Water Ball, was my time to have a minute away from that grief and to enjoy being in the water where I can move. I got several herniated discs. I'm in a lot of pain all the time. And being in that water helped give me life again.
Local leaders, including council member Joseph Golombek, are also concerned. He says money raised for the new North Buffalo branch is still there, but simply not enough for the original project.
The original goal was approximately $20 million. Unfortunately, the price has more than doubled for the exact same project. And now with potential tariff war with Canada, they're concerned that some of the building materials that we get from Canada will go up by at least 25%, but they're not sure.
Despite these financial hurdles, the YMCA is committed to continue services at other locations. But for Eve, it's not about where she'll go next. It's about losing a place that saved her life.
When I had nothing left, coming here for that hour, 3 days a week, gave me life, gave me joy.
She was really outgoing, absolutely loved her daughter. I mean, they were best friends.
Jeff Leonardi is reflecting on the special bond
They did everything together.
his niece Michaela shared with her mom, Kimberly Clock.
It's really hard on her, obviously. It's quick, just a sudden tragic loss like that of your mother.
The family is grieving after Clock died in a fire on Central Avenue in Lancaster last week.
Losing all the memories, everything was there, so all those memories of that trip and everything that they did together, that's going to be the hard thing.
I can't imagine that when I was 16, 17 years old, if I lost my family support system, what that would feel like.
Kelly Reddington's niece is friends with Michaela.
I felt called to do something, compelled to.
Reddington started the GoFundMe to help Michaela.
To the community, the power of Lancaster and Western New York is so immense. It's really inspiring to see.
It's already raised more than $30,000. They're also collecting essential items like clothing.
That's what this community does best. You just look at just the history of this area. It's amazing. I mean, I get goosebumps thinking.
But this time, Carrie O'Horn will have a city court jury decide her fate on obstructing governmental administration, harassment, and disorderly conduct. She was charged on Bailey Avenue during the Christmas '22 blizzard. It's where police were responding to looting of businesses.
Ms. Horn insisted that the police officer get the individuals off the ground. And all she and they were handcuffs. And she insisted on the officers treating them with some kind of humanity.
Horn was there. Remember, there were travel bans and people were urged to stay inside. Here's her explanation.
What led to you being outdoors when people were supposed to be staying inside?
Because people were dying, so I went out to help. And I had a tow truck. Not a tow truck. I had a truck with a plow. On the back of it, I had a generator, a snow blower, saws, shovels, and I was out all day helping people.
After failing to appear for scheduled court dates, a judge sent her to jail last week when Horn came to court for what she thought was going to be a trial.
This was a tactic that they used, that they misused.
I asked about her time at the holding center for a couple of days.
I refused to eat or drink because I didn't understand why I was in protective custody, and because they were only bringing one tray to me, I didn't know if somebody would have done something to it, so I refused to eat or drink.
Judge Tiffany Perry set a trial date of April 21st.
And you ready for trial?
I've been ready for trial years ago. This has been going on for 2 years and 4 months, 3 months, 4 months.
The Inn Buffalo off Elmwood has never been compared to a Hilton.
Yeah, absolutely. We're not a big box. We don't have 100 rooms, 200 rooms, or 300 rooms.
But what the city is now asking blurs those lines.
You know, I have a mixed emotions.
Buffalo is facing a $40 million budget deficit. And last week,
Christopher P. Scanlon,
as a part of his State of the City address, Acting Mayor Christopher Scanlon introduced one of the ways he plans to bridge that gap.
Visitors should help us offset the cost of maintaining our historic institutions.
Proposing a 3% hotel tax that would fall on all city visitors and raise the average room price in Buffalo by just over $5 a night.
The economic impact will outweigh the tax.
Joseph Lettieri, the owner of Inn Buffalo off Elmwood, doesn't have a problem with the tax.
Yeah, no problem at all.
But where he does have a problem is if that money is not reinvested back into the tourism industry in Buffalo.
For us to be just taking that money and putting it in to fill a hole in the budget is very short-sighted.
Acting Mayor Scanlon says that won't be the case, promising that some of what is believed to be $3 million generated by this tax annually will be reinvested into attractions around the city like the Buffalo Zoo and Chase.
I do want to remind everybody, this is something that's like pennies on the dollar, right? 3%.
Tonight, City Finance Commissioner Raymore Nosworthy taking questions from the council on the proposed tax, with some believing it should be expanded.
And does it also include short-term rentals?
Short-term? I believe.
An expansion Joseph back at the inn is in favor of as well, so that his business isn't the only one being asked the same as a Fortune 500 company.
I think everyone should share in the burden of that extra tax, and it will certainly help the city.
A concerning scene for those in attendance at the Olean Common Council meeting Tuesday night.
What is the disorderly conduct that he was doing?
A man was hauled off in handcuffs after trying to speak during the public comment portion of the meeting. Erin Boyd was in attendance during the council meeting and recorded the ordeal on her phone.
I kept asking, trying to understand, why was he being detained? What was he being arrested for?
According to Council President John Crawford,
I don't know anything about him other than he was given his opportunity to speak. He made his point and then wanted to speak again, which is not common practice for someone to make a second statement. especially when we haven't given an opportunity to everyone to make their first statement.
The city has identified the man as 43-year-old Carlos Andre. Towards the end of the comment period of the meeting, Carlos approached the podium to speak again with 2 trays of rolled coins.
I would like to make a donation
for the city to fix its wastewater and sewage issue, something we reported on a few weeks ago. That's when the council president started pounding his gavel, telling him to stop.
Sit down, sir. Yes, sir. I have when I finish making a donation from the city of Olean. We can make this the neighbors.
And when he failed to comply, I asked the police to escort him out of the room.
At best was being a good, kind neighbor, trying to problem solve and be supportive, making a donation to the city of Olean because he cares. And at worst, he was being a little bit cheeky.
4 officers arrested Carlos, 2 of which were in plain clothes and seemingly sitting in the audience as well. In this video, you can see he was taken to another room and charged with disorderly conduct.
And what's always important to us is that everyone has an opportunity to speak and to be able to come forward, share their opinions, share their views. But everyone has to follow the confines and the rules that are set in place.
The county says that this is a first of its kind program and they're using it to address their homelessness crisis. A first of its kind program for Chautauqua County.
But what makes it unique and brand new with itself is the fact that it's a true multidisciplinary team.
It's called the Family Centered Case Management Initiative, and it's funded by the state. That's Carmelo Hernandez, the mental health commissioner who's helped spearhead the program.
So this is the first time that we have both mental hygiene and social services working on in one team.
It's a program that comes into effect after a summer of homeless encampments in Jamestown led to a state of emergency.
Yes, we saw the need that what happened in Jamestown and what's happened across the nation too. So we do know that there's a need there. There was many variables that contributed to that need.
Chautauqua County Executive P.J. Wendell says the county has been in talks about this program much before that state of emergency.
Last year during the homeless crisis, one of the things determined was there wasn't really any outreach.
He says that this was a necessary step in addressing the county's and the country's homelessness crisis.
It can't be questioned, what are we doing about, are we doing anything about homeless? And we are.
For the past 2 years, I've gotten so many phone calls of so many customers, so many friends, so many neighbors, all telling me the same story. Why am I going up? I did nothing wrong.
Craig Willoughby says we all see reports about property insurance issues with cost up an average of 34% across the country because of catastrophes or cats in the insurance industry lingo, like California with those devastating wildfires and the tornadoes and hurricanes elsewhere. But the main culprit in a state like New York, which is less disaster prone and has its own rate guidelines, is really still inflation. A 40% increase for building materials and labor and lingering supply chain problems stretching back to the pandemic, and now increases working through the system for some of us.
I've had customers going up 2 years ago the minute inflation hit. Carriers started raising rates immediately. Not a company out there doesn't have the proper risk management to handle the catastrophe. But add on inflation, and unforeseen inflation coming in with CAT, perfect storm, where a lot of the carriers are just pulling out of the state, pulling out of the business altogether. Between the cats and inflation, it's enough to drive a ton of companies to bankruptcy.
The Adirondack Insurance Exchange firm actually shut down last year here in New York State. When it comes to car insurance, also a tight market with the State Department of Financial Services and the higher cost of repair and collision bodywork, especially for items like airbags and even storage fees for cars, taking much longer to repair due to parts issues and supply chain.
The state will not allow them to raise their rates high enough to cover the cost of inflation on the repair side. So when a loss comes in today, it's 4 times higher than it was 2 years ago, but they can't raise their rates 4 times. They're not taking on new business. They're just sitting tight until inflation dies, or they can get the rate increases approved.
Well, it may be cold and possibly also snowing outside, but it's essentially 90 degrees in August here in the Salem Sports Park because we're here at the area's largest boat show. So we're here on one of the best boats here this weekend. They have a grill, full kitchen, so you've got your fridge and your grill with this mirror here that is supposed to be for the heat, but I think for me it would be something like a vanity. There's a sink, all the great stuff. And then here on the boat, of course, we find Rob. Rob, can you tell us a little bit more of what this boat has to offer?
It's got an opening sunroof, a full cabin downstairs with a stand-up bathroom, 2 beds, and what's unique about this boat is having a cabin on it. Typically, you can't ride up on the bow when it's underway. On this, you can because it has 3 wide dedicated bow seating.
So this is like the best boat of the weekend, right?
Yeah, this will be the queen of the show.
And how much is this particular boat going to run you?
A little under $500,000.
Amazing. So for all of the people who don't have $500,000 to maybe spend on a boat, which, you know, I assume would be the majority of people, what else do you have going on?
There's a boat here for every budget. Entry level 17-foot runabouts all the way up to this. Fishing boats, there's a sailboat, there's cruisers, ski boats, pontoon boats. Pretty much anything you're looking for, you should be able to find.
And it's not just boats here this weekend too, right?
No, there's going to be seminars on how to winterize your boat, change the oil, maintenance, cleaning tips. There's going to be a lot of educational things and stuff for the kids too.
And there's also a huge fish tank over there. Can you talk a little bit about why?
That's going to be about teaching people how to fish and different fish that we have in the area that you can catch, and it's really pretty impressive.
So all sorts of outdoorsy stuff going on here this weekend, even though it's freezing outside right now.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun weekend. It'll be fun seeing everybody and start to thinking about summer.
Awesome, Rob, thank you so much. I know I am looking forward to summer as well. So the boat show starts this evening. So if you want to come out and look at some boats, make your way over to the Salem Sports Park. On your side at Salem Sports Park, Natalie Foss, Channel 2 News.
2025 looks very solid and very, very good for Western New York especially.
Buffalo Niagara Film Commissioner Tim Clark says film crews keep coming here for our architecture and our people. The Mario Lopez movie is the 8th shot so far this year in Western New York. It's one of 2 being filmed right now. The other is a Hallmark movie.
We have something starting in late April. We have a pretty good movie in May, June, and another shooting June, July. Those 2 are really much bigger.
And he says you can expect a steady stream of activity all summer long. You'll likely notice film crews in downtown Buffalo.
Downtown Buffalo could play for Chicago. We often twin for New York. We've even doubled for Los Angeles in the past. So it plays for anything and everything. And we think we're going to continue to use those strengths to our benefit.
And Clark can't reveal who's coming, but offered these clues.
You'll definitely know the people who will be in town this summer. One in particular is a pretty bigger star, bigger name. I think you're going to start to see a lot of that. It's not going to be so uncommon and surprising. So it's kind of fun when you walk into a restaurant and see a familiar face.
At least one of the films is a period piece, and extras are needed for a bunch of these movies.
On a number of inbound movies, and the traffic is going to be heavy this summer, there will be a screaming need for a lot of extras.
So whether it's another Hallmark Christmas movie or a movie being shot by one of the big studios, there will be opportunities for extras. And Tim Clark says if you want to be an extra, your best bet is to keep an eye on social media. On your side in Buffalo, Kelly Dudzik, Channel 2 News.
Bison's baseball is back in full swing, and we're going out to eat at the restaurant just across the street from the ballpark.
A lot of people just kind of walk in here and have no idea that there's a restaurant that exists like this. And then we'll bring them downstairs. They see an old bank vault that turned into a private dining room, and we have special events down there.
Vault at 237 is on the ground floor of the Marin Building, which was once the headquarters of Marine Midland Bank.
But this actually used to be the bank cafeteria.
Executive Chef Joseph Bilardi oversees the food and cocktail menus, and he's proud to offer something for everyone.
Sometimes you'll have somebody with a suit sitting and having a drink or some dinner after, getting out of the office, and they'll be sitting right next to somebody with a Bandits jersey on. So, we don't discriminate against anybody. We want everybody to come in here and have a good time.
The food is classic American fare with a high-end feel that's accessible.
Meatloaf was very popular, and we could put a spin on a meatloaf. We do a pork belly meatloaf, which is a one of my favorite dishes on the menu. We have fresh seafood. Our scallop dish with over lobster risotto and a Prosecco lemon beurre blanc is one of our most popular dishes.
Chef Joe showed us how he makes the most popular thing on the menu, his short rib.
It's a two and a half day process. We'll season it very generously, sear it, braise it for probably about 7 hours, and we'll take it out and then let it cool for a whole day. Then we'll take it out, we'll portion them, cut them, and then we'll make a sauce out of the actual liquid that it produces. We use that for 3 different things on our menu.
For the baseball crowd, they're planning a new bar menu and a beer and burger deal.
You can come in and grab our burger and a draft beer for $20. We offer them during the Sabres games at any events at the Key Bank Center or Shea's. And then we're going to start doing that during Bison's games. So somebody can come and get a bite to eat and get out quickly, have a drink or two, and walk literally 100 feet across the street and walk into the game.
Vault at 237 is open for dinner Tuesdays through Saturdays.